This is the recording for HSC Option 2, the third key idea. We're up to the second dot point in key idea 3, and we're answering the last question. How has the media pushed extreme sports to take excessive risks? Now, when answering this question, you'd obviously be linking it to this dash point on the left-hand side of the syllabus over here. And I've covered that in one of the earlier recordings on YouTube, so you might want to seek that out before you actually listen to this recording. Now, some actual examples of extreme sport include Winter X Games, where they do, which is dominated by snowboarding mainly, where they're doing lots of tricks and manoeuvres on the snowboard. Quite a recent phenomenon has been wingsuit flying, which is basically people flying through the air with the aid of a wingsuit. And Australian Robbie Madison has become famous on New Year's Eve, sponsored by Red Bull, for doing some pretty extreme motorcycle stunts. Extreme sports are actually defined by the degree of risk they have, and generally speaking, the ones that are most successful are the ones that where the athletes take the most risk, where there is a higher risk of injury for the athlete performing the stunt. In all cases, extreme sports are dangerous. Otherwise, if they're not dangerous, they actually cease to become extreme, and the people who enjoy watching these types of sport aren't quite interested in the sport. So in terms of extreme sports, what makes them extreme is how dangerous they are. The problem athletes have when it comes who are involved in extreme... Beautiful. That's 238. The problem that athletes have who are involved in extreme sports is once a trick has been completed and has been out there on TV or on YouTube, people get over that very quickly and feel the need for the athlete to go bigger, higher or longer. So as a couple of examples, the motorcycle stunt person is required to jump more buses on their bike. On the snowboard, the athlete's required to perform more somersaults or twists. The athlete's required to jump high from a plane, take it closer to the mountain when in the wingsuit flying. Extreme sports have come under a bit of criticism in the media lately because of some pretty serious injuries and in some cases deaths that have occurred during their sport. Here's a newspaper article which reports on a death that happened in the Winter X Games for a snowboarder. And then the other story which I have here is about a wingsuit stuntman who lost his life on the wingsuit. This was a stunt person who performed at the opening ceremony of the Olympics and became quite famous there when he performed a stunt at the opening as James Bond at the Olympics opening ceremony. And recently he died in one of those wingsuit accidents where he crashed into a mountain. Now the media is giving extreme sports in these cases a pretty tough time, saying that it's got to the stage now where the athletes are forced to take too high a risk to gain media profile. Now, the flip side of the argument, people who are involved in extreme sports say it can be argued that the athletes are fully aware of the risks that they take. There are risks associated with all types of sports, and often the line that you'll hear people say is that the athlete died doing something that they truly love doing. Whether that's a strong enough argument to keep extreme sports going, I'm not quite sure. I probably think there has to be some sort of inquiry into extreme sports about how far we should keep pushing these athletes, as there's no doubt that each year that they are taking greater and greater risk to achieve media, to get some media attention. Now, even a company such as Red Bull has copped some criticism because they're the major sponsor of extreme sports, and they seem to be the company that is seen or interpreted it as pushing these athletes to taking more risks. So Red Bull themselves are now under some shaky ground where people are starting to question the role that they as a company are playing in terms of forcing these athletes to take extreme risk. So has the media pushed extreme sports to take excessive risks? Well, I think the simple answer to that is yes, the media has. There's no doubt there have been a few more deaths more often than previous in relation to extreme sports. And that's because I think of the basic premise that extreme sports are only extreme when person is taking a heightened risk. And once an athlete has done a certain trick, there is a real push for the athlete to go higher or further than previous before. And that's often a result of the media, which is pushing these athletes again, because the media wants the higher ratings, that they are pushing the athletes into taking heightened risk.